Welcome to another episode of the Carlito Monroe Show. I am your host, Carlito Monroe. And before we get started, I got a little information down there, my social media information. YouTube, please share, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell when I upload new content. You'll be the first to get it. I have my Instagram down there to follow the show. And then last but not least, it's the Cash App. Whatever you want to offer is fine. $1, $2, anything would be greatly appreciated. Please hit the like button. Please subscribe. It helps the algorithm, help people watch the show. It doesn't cost anything. So even if you don't like the show, hit the like button anyway. That helps people watch the show, and I might talk about something that they may be interested in. I think I want to talk about today is T.I and his son, King. I'm talking about T.I, the rapper, entrepreneur, philanthropist. He was trying to be a comedian. I think he was just mainly telling stories. He kind of went through that, and then now you haven't heard him trying to be a comedian anymore. Well, maybe he still is. I haven't heard anything about it. I guess it was maybe news at one point, but I think it's kind of past, and people probably don't care about it now. But he's been in the news lately, mainly because of his son King, which is the little one. And I didn't realize how small he is, but he's the little guy, and he's kicking up dust and causing trouble, and he's getting into it with people. And most recently, he got into it with Charleston White, he's an older guy. He's out of, I think he's out of Texas, and people call him a troll. He's calling himself a comedian now. From what I understand, he's been on a few stages now, so he's kind of getting into that, and they say he's actually pretty funny. So I would try to check him out if you had an opportunity to do that. But people have a dislike for Charleston White, but I don't understand why. I mean, yeah, he trolls different people and he gets under their skin, but I mean, it's all just words. You too can say words right back to him if you want to, but he's saying things and it's getting under people's skin. And he made a comment about Tip's son, T.I.'s son, King Harris. He made a comment about him like, he's acting a fool, and I agree, he is acting a fool. But some would say, is it Charleston White's place to say that? Is it my place to say it? No, it's not. But when you're a public figure like T.I, and even his son, even he's a public figure, you're open for public opinion. I mean, you're just open for that. That's just how that goes. When you're in this entertainment thing, anything somebody says, it basically can be used against you, just not in the court of law. In the court of public opinion, it can be used against you. So right now, this kid is acting up, and people are saying things, and Tip is real big about his family and kids. You can't say nothing about his wife. You can't say nothing about his kids. And I get that if T.I was a regular father, I would get that. I mean, yeah, they had the show and had the family. I don't know how many seasons ran. I watched a few of the seasons. I mean, that's the whole point of directors and production. You can spice everything up. It's pretty much, it wasn't filmed in Hollywood, but I always say Hollywooding it up. That's a term that I use to when producers get in and they make things a certain way to make it more theatrical, to make it more entertaining for the viewer. So I get that. So I think with that particular show, it was Hollywooded up. His family probably wasn't as fun loving as it may appear. Probably the earlier episodes when like King was real little and the other kids were little. Yeah, then, it's probably more true to life. But now the young man's 18 now. He's old enough to go to a regular correctional facility now with grown men. And he's doing stuff that's going to get him there. Now, T.I says he don't want any advice from anybody or whatever, but you don't have to want my advice. You don't have to want Charleston White's advice or anybody else's advice, but we can give it because you're a public figure, and we're the court of public opinion. So we can express our opinion on it. And just the fact that he's your son and he's acting a fool, we had a right to say, hey, man, your son's acting a fool. You need to do something about it. And I don't doubt he's tried to do something about it. I think it's just that his efforts are just not being noticed. You know, he's not doing it on Instagram where he's talking to his son. Well, let me take that back. I just saw a video where he was talking to his son. He was supposed to be having a father and son moment, but it wasn't a father and son moment that I would envision like I've had with my son. His father and son moment entailed of drinking a little liquor. I don't know what the son was drinking. I don't know that for a fact, but he was looking for a cup on that video. You can look it up. He was looking for a cup. King was looking for a cup. T.I was clearly drinking, but it could have been fruit juice. I don't know. It could have been. It was a container with an actual bottle. It was a bottle of something, but it was like, there was no name or anything on it. So it could have just been drinking juice. But T.I, his language is a little slurred. So I imagine he was a little tipsy and he had something to drink. And I don't think anything's wrong with that. I think something's wrong with him drinking and his son is also drinking with him. But I don't know for a fact he is, but he did express during that video, I need a cup. Where are the cups at? So T.I was going on to try to explain to him how, see how what I was telling you, this Charleston White, he done got under your skin and now you in this beef and this, that, and other. And you done let him grow off of your energy and now your fame, he's just as famous because of you. And I'm thinking like, King is famous? And I guess he is, but if I saw him somewhere, I wouldn't want his autograph. I wouldn't want his autograph. I wouldn't want anything to do with him, actually. I'd be trying to figure out, man, that's the strangest looking midget I ever seen in my life. And I hate to use the term midget, because it's technically it's a derogatory term, but I mean, he's definitely dwarfism. It's definitely a dwarfism there. Because the internet says he's 5'10", but everybody knows the internet lies. If it says 5'10", he's more likely 5'8", 5'7", or 5'9". That's usually what the height says. Well, for King, it claims to be that, but there's no way that kid is that tall. There's no way that kid's got to be every bit 4'9", 4'10", or something like that. And I think with dwarfism, I think it's 4'10" and under. And I think he's got to be around that height. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. This is, I saw it on the internet, but the internet could be lying. But there's no way this kid is 5'10". He's got to be 4'10", 4'9", 4'8", but that's under 4'10". That's dwarfism. So technically he's a dwarf. He's a really little kid. Little man. He's 18. He's 4'9", 4'10", and he's also skinny and really small. It's almost like it was a birth defect, like he didn't really grow. Now, maybe he got the trait from his mother because his mother's, she's a small woman. I don't know if she's what her height is. I didn't even look it up. She could be considered a dwarf. Maybe that's where he got it from. But if you see King and T.I standing next to each other, T.I is significantly taller than his son, and T.I is probably, I've seen him, he's probably 5'6". In real life, I think they got him at 5'9" or 5'10", but that's just internet stuff. They just make it up. So that son's got to be, I know he's definitely under 5 feet, but I would say, I feel comfortable saying 4'9". And the internet says, I think 4'10", 4'11" for him, but I bet he's like 4'9". But he's a little guy, and maybe he has that little man syndrome where you have the guys that aren't really that tall, they're usually short, they're extra angry. They have to show how tough they are. So they're always getting into it with different people. And usually when somebody's smaller, the bigger person kind of just like, and I think that's where the term came from. Well, I'm just going to be the bigger person in this argument or the bigger person in this situation, because the bigger person, contextually, you see this person as much larger than the smaller person. They decide, I'm just going to leave this alone because I know I would massacre this guy if I actually tried to fight him or do something to him because I'm so much bigger than him. So I believe that's where the term came from. I could be wrong. I'm speculating. But I believe that's where the term came from. So these people he's getting into it with, they're just being the bigger person. They actually are the bigger person than him because he's so little, and they just got like, yeah, I don't. Okay, you got it. You're a tough little guy. We'll go with that. You're tougher than me, and they kind of just let it go. Some I seen too was where he kind of got into it with a fan, I guess, or something. And then when they showed the video, the fan, that guy was way bigger than him. And King was like looking up at him and then like, man, you want some smoke or whatever? He's talking the tough talk. And then he went in his vehicle or whoever vehicle it was, and he got like a backpack and he unzipped it, put his hand in there. You want some smoke? Like he had a pistol or something. And he could have. He could have. I mean, the irony that in that it was some years back, his daddy got caught with a whole bunch of guns, and nobody's talking about that anymore. But one person is talking about it. It's Charleston White. He's brought it back up. He said, well, while me and your son going back and forth, I'm telling your son, if you run up on me, I'm gonna George Zimmerman him. And that's the words he used. I'm gonna George Zimmerman him. And I don't agree with what he said. It leaves a bad taste in your mouth because that was a serious situation. And he's using that as a play on the words to show that he's going to put his son down if he try to come do something to him. This is what Charleston White's words were, I would George Zimmerman him. And I don't like those words. I know what he means or know what he meant by it, but I just don't like him using those words. But I mean, he's a grown man, and again, words are words. I'm sure, a lot of people don't like him using the term, but he's saying what it is, and I believe he would do it. I believe if King came and tried to confront him or do something, I think he actually would put him down. I think he would. So I would think T.I. should focus more on trying to keep his boy, trying to control him. But I don't think he can control him because let me go back to that. When they had this quote unquote father-son moment, like I said, I believe T.I. was drinking. I believe the son he was looking for a cup. But the whole time he's telling him about different things, he's not pounding this information into him. He's telling him something, but he's painting the light as if, King, you're right. Charleston is wrong. The whole message, the whole time, the whole little 10-minute little father and son video. He had that video that looked like it was a cell phone video that he did and maybe uploaded on Instagram or something. But the whole time, if you pay attention to the whole context of it, the whole time was, you're right. He's wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong for allowing his wrongness to come into your right. But you're right, son. Keep it up. That's the message. That's the message that he actually sent to King. The whole time he's talking to King, King has a blunt and he's got his lighter and he's steady lighting this lighter and he's going across the blunt trying to seal it in. He keep doing that and then that's all you hear in the video. Him lighting the lighter and going across the thing. That alone is disrespectful. If I'm your daddy or father or whatever, and I'm talking to you as my son and we're trying to have this father and son moment, I'm trying to tell you where you went wrong and how you need to do better. You're not going to be loading a blunt up, licking on it, sealing it with this lighter, steady popping this lighter, lighting it, and then going to light the blunt up and smoke it as I'm talking to you. He did that. This is what King did while T.I., quote unquote, father of the year. This is me saying this. This is not Charleston White saying it or anybody else. This is me saying it. T.I., father of the year, and I'm being sarcastic, is having this father and son moment and allowing his son to roll up a blunt, seal it, and smoke it while he's talking to him. And King had no input or any response to his dad other than like, man, yeah, I kind of get what you're saying. It was just a bunch of foolish young folk talk. I won't allow my son to do that to me. You got to give me some response. I want to know that you really understand other than you just uttering some words and you damn sure not gonna be lighting up a blunt and smoking it while I'm here. I mean, it's just crazy. But he's doing this, and T.I.'s videoing it, and I guess he's trying to show like he's still hood. I mean, Tip is rich. I mean, I think his net worth was 50, $60 million. It may be more. I don't know. But he's rich, and he's got all these businesses, and he got different people employed. And he had a video recently talking about his family turning his back on him and not supporting him in this movement. But maybe your family understands that the young man is out of control. Now, he hasn't killed anybody yet, as far as I know. It hasn't been reported. But he's given the idea that he's toting a pistol. He's given that idea that when he talked to a fan and he had the bag, say you want to smoke, and he had his hand going in his bag like he got a gun. What if that fan had a gun? He'd have killed him dead right there because he's playing a game that he's really not prepared to play. This kid grew up on TV. He grew up on TV. He grew up rich. He's not from the hood. I'm from the hood. T.I., I'm assuming is from the hood. That's what he came off. Charleston White is from the hood. When you from the hood, you know it's stuff that you can do and you can't do. To play that kind of game, you had to actually be prepared to pull a gun out of that bag and kill that man right there. And I don't believe that boy was prepared to do that. Because if the person he was talking to, if they'd have pulled a gun, I think he would have just panicked. I think he would have panicked even if he actually had a gun. I don't know what he had. But, I mean, I think he would have panicked. And then it just could have really went bad. I mean, I saw the video where the first time I even heard, I didn't even know this kid was even 18 at this point. I was still thinking he was a little kid. I had stopped watching the show. Time goes by. You know, you got your own life things going on. So I see the kid and I was like, oh, yeah, that is that King kid. You know, I didn't think nothing of it. And then he's videoing himself, I guess live or whatever live he was on. And he's in his Waffle House and he's talking reckless to some Waffle House worker and talk about, give me my food. That let you know right there, this kid ain't got any sense. I would never talk disrespectful to someone that's making my food. And if I did do it, I have no plans on eating that food. I have no plans on eating that food. Let me give you a quick story. This happened. This was a little while back. I remember going to a drive-through where I live. Used to be a Steak and Shake. It's like a lot of them are closed now. I don't know what's going on with them. But used to be a Steak and Shake. I got off work. I said, I'll stop here. And one day in line. And what Steak and Shake would do at the time, you would pull into the drive-through and then you would order. And then whoever's taking your order, they would take the order or whatever. And then they'd tell you to wait a second before you pull up to the window. So what they were trying to do is, I believe it was a timer that would go that's ticking down, and then they would wait for you to get up to the window, and then they, tell you to stay back, and then they'll tell you, flag you to come on and come up to the window, and then that timer would probably start. I'm not sure if it works exactly like that, but it was something to that because they would always do that. Once you order and then you pull up there, they put their hand out to tell you not to pull all the way up. Then, and normally, I didn't frequent there that much, but normally I would go ahead and stop and say, yeah, I'll wait. I got time. I'll wait. And they, then they get the food ready. Then they flagging you to come on. Then you pull up there and then they giving you your food. And then you can see it's a timer just starts clicking down. So it was something with the time or whatever. In some way, they done figured out how to trick the system. And I noticed like Rally's does that. It's a few restaurants that do that. And I don't know if corporate knows it. Corporate probably didn't care as long as the numbers look good. It's all the numbers game and the money. So anyway, this particular time, the guy, so I would order, I don't know, say a double cheeseburger meal or something. And then the guy would say, okay, double cheeseburger meal. I said, yeah, double cheeseburger meal, Coke for the drink. All right. You said a double cheeseburger meal, Coke for the drink. Yeah, double cheeseburger meal, Coke for the drink. All right. You want a pickle? And he would talk real slow. So after he does all this, what he was doing was talking real slow while he was making everything so the time would line up. So it would look like it was a rapid fast food. So that timer would line up. So I figured out that's what he was doing. He said, all right, hold for your, he said, stand by for your total. And that's what they would do. If they didn't put their hand out to stop you, they say, stand by for your total. So you'd be sitting there waiting for the total. And then I noticed in the past, they would come back and then he would say, pull up to the window for your total. After I've sat there 5 minutes, 6 minutes, then I pull up to the window. They say, all right, it's 10.92 or whatever. And then they're giving you your food. He knew what the total was when I got done with the meal. He's trying to do this timer thing. So at this particular time, this day, after he got through, he said, stand by for your total. I pulled off and pulled up to the window. And it ticked him off. So the guy comes to the window. He said, man, I told you to stand back there for your total. I said, well, you was going to end up telling me come up to the window anyway. So I'm here. What's the total? Man, see, man, I told you to do this. And he was talking to me as if we were on the street. So I finally realized what he was doing because I was caught off guard. I say, man, you realize you at work, right? Because I can come in there. And if I come in there, it's going to be a problem. And you ain't going to have a job no more. And I'm really ignorant like that. And I hate to say that, but I am. I'm ignorant like that. I will go in there and pull him from behind the counter and beat him. So watch who you talking to. And then he quieted down. And then he said how much the food was. And my point of this story I was telling you, I was like, man, I'm not eating nothing that man got. I said, man, I don't want that. And I pulled off. So the reason I told that story is making me think of because the King kid, when he got into it with this guy at the Waffle House, he run me my food. I'm outside. He's talking all this tough stuff. I'm outside. Man, but I'm outside though. Why you ain't come outside? I'm outside. The dude is at work. He's at the Waffle House. He done already went too far to even be arguing with the King kid in the first place. But the thing was, he don't know who he dealing with. That kid could have easily came from around that counter and beat that boy on TV, on his cell phone as he was recording. He could have beat him. And he would have lost his job, but he at least would have beat him up and shed him up. So it's crazy how his way of thinking. And then he was like, just run me my food. Man, I say what I want. I got money. I say what I want. Man, I can buy this whole store. And he pulls out a wad of money. So he does all that. They skirt off in some kind of car or something. So, and he's going on. And he starts eating the food. He starts eating this same food that he was just giving this guy issue and talking about come outside and all this. It just shows how young he is and immature and just borderline, just brain ain't working correctly. And I'm led to believe a lot of that has to do with T.I. A lot of that has to do with him. I mean, T.I., ideally on the show, he was this great father. He was jokingly, he was fun and all that. But how good of a father can you be if you're traveling around doing shows? If you're at the record company recording, you're in a studio all night, you run in the streets. How good of a father can you be when you're famous? I really don't know how good of a father that you can be if you're somebody that's famous. I mean, I don't know. I'm not famous, but when you're a regular father, you got a regular job, you can be there, you can make all these games, you can basketball, football, baseball, you can go to these AAU sporting events and cheerleading teams, carrying the cheer bags, being a cheer dad. You can do all this stuff. T.I. couldn't do all of this stuff. I don't think anybody famous can do all of that. But I could be wrong. Prove me wrong. But I don't believe you can. You might can do it once. You may can do it twice, but you can't be there consistently. And even somebody with a regular job can't necessarily be there consistently, but you can be there 90% of the time if you're trying to be there. I made 98.5% of my son's games through since he played sports from 10 years old in the 5th grade all the way through high school, and he's in college, and I still make games. I still afford that time for him. So me and my son he probably has a different respect for me than King has for T.I., for his dad. So I blame a lot of that T.I. So now the fire is already burning and he's trying to put it out. And I don't really know what he can do at this point. Sometime a kid is lost. He's got other kids. He's got a son at, I think it's Dumani. I think it's Damani Harris. And the few songs I heard, he's actually a really good lyricist. I mean, I don't know if he's giving that son that push as far as being an artist, but I found him to be a good lyricist, and I think if you get a machine behind him, he can be something in this rap game. If if you can be something in the rap game at this point, but I think at this point, man, he only thing I can see him doing, in my opinion, if it were me in that situation, I'd cut him off financially, because the kid did have a stack of money at this Waffle House while he was talking trash. While he was talking trash to a fan, he had some high-end fancy bag with like kind of the little spikes on it. I imagine some kind of name brand. It might be I don't know. I don't know the name brands. I imagine some kind of name brand bag that's probably cheap overseas, but here super expensive, and a rapper will buy it. He had diamond chains on and everything. So he doesn't understand this game is different. He doesn't understand this game is different, and he'll end up in jail. And as little as he is, he's going to be somebody's boy. And T.I ain't going to be able to do nothing about it but put money on his books, but they'll just extort that from him and take all of it. And he'll still be in there crying, trying to get out, and his daddy won't, no money in the world is going to be able to get him out. But what I want to also talk about with T.I, he needs to really just leave us alone, because Charleston White has proven that he will tell. And he's not ashamed of saying, I will tell. T.I is ashamed of saying that he will tell, because it's clearly he had to have told on somebody for him to get out of that gun thing some years back. I mean, he was supposed to got 15, 20 years for that. These were assault rifles. These weren't semi-automatic weapons. These were all-out assault rifles, fully automatic weapons, silencers and everything. This is stuff that you go to the jailhouse. I mean, the feds lock you up. But if you can give them some information on some other people, do a few public services announcements, you can get a year probation like he did. So I'm sure he told, but his whole rap career has went off the idea that he's a tough guy, and he's, he drug deal, he don't play that. And, you talk about my son, I'm going to see you, and that's the idle threat he has given to Charleston White. And Charleston White is like, whatever. You come here, you're going to get laid down. That's what it is. So, but T.I rides on being this tough guy. But I think, again, with him, that's a little man syndrome. Now, T.I could show up to my house and he probably have 4 or 5 people with him. He would have to have 4 or 5 people with him, because by himself, he ain't going to make it. But surprisingly, if he showed up to my house, him and them 4 or 5 people ain't going to make it, because I'm going to call the police. I'm going to call the police just like Charleston White would, because I'm a regular person. I'm not a gangbanger, gangster rapper or anything. I would call the police. And if you got in my house and got in my house before the police got here, I'm going to lay you all down. And then the cops would just be cleaning up bodies. That's just a fact. That's just a fact. It's just what it is. So I understand people don't want their kids talked about and anything like that. I get it. But you can't control what somebody says, especially when you're a public figure. The public has the right to say whatever they want to say, make whatever comment they want to make, give you advice. You just don't have to take it, and you don't have to respond to it. So I was saying, man, it's just a tough situation. My son has little troubles through the years. He's never tried to be a tough guy. But I really think King is trying to imitate his dad and trying to imitate what people are doing these days, to be the tough guy. I just think that's a bad look, and it's a bad situation, and it could go bad for you really quick. It's a lot of tough people in the cemetery. The morgue and the cemeteries, it's a lot of them. They go to the morgue first, then they have a funeral, then they go to the cemetery. Those are all the tough guys at. There's no tough guys that are alive. Think about that. Where's the last guy that's alive that's tough that you know? Because there's always somebody tougher. Because what makes you tough is that you're willing to go further than the next man. You may be willing to pull a knife on me. Then I'm willing to pull a gun. Then you're willing to pull an assault rifle. Then I'm willing to pull an assault rifle with a silencer. Then you're willing to pull an assault rifle and actually pull the trigger. I wasn't really ready to pull the trigger because I'd have shot you when I pulled the gun out when you first had the knife. See what I'm saying? That would have made me tough because I'm willing to do what the next man is not willing to do. And I don't think Lil King, I'm gonna just start calling him Lil King because he's a really little guy. I don't think he understands he's out here playing with men. And men kill each other. This is a fact. Men kill each other. I mean, even recently, some in the news where it was a man and a girl, and they were having like a little one-on-one basketball game, and then the girl beat him, and I guess she was talking trash, and he was talking trash, and he killed her. That happened. I don't know. Maybe it was last week or a few days ago. He killed this young lady because she was better than him at basketball, or maybe it was just her day, and the basketball rim had love for her. But he killed her from that. I think he was on the run. I'm gonna have to look into that. He may be caught by now. But this is the kind of thing that goes on with men. Men will kill each other. And that's what T.I. should be telling his son. Men kill each other. And if they'll kill each other, they'll kill anybody else behind it. That's as simple as that. And I don't think the young man understands that. So he's going to either end up in jail or end up in the cemetery. That is one of the two. I don't think there's any way around that unless he learns his lesson early. He actually probably will be fortunate to go to jail, because if he goes to jail, then the little tough talk, you could be tough talk all day when you're free, because you can always go back to your parents' mansion in the safety confines with security gates and key fobs and alarm systems. You can always go back to that. So he can be out here hanging with his friends, and I heard he hangs with Lil Boosie's son. I think Lil Boosie's son's out there too. And you could talk tough, and then you can go back to your comfy confines of $5, $6, $10 million mansion. But the tough talk, you talking to the people too, they're hungry. They live in the projects. They don't have the money you have, and they may just decide, well, he disrespected me. I don't like how he was talking to me. The next time I see him, I'm taking what he got. And guess what? I'll go ahead and put a hole in him too, just to let him know, don't play with me. He's just playing a dangerous, dangerous game. In my opinion, I don't think Charleston White will do anything to King, but if King ran up on him, I think he will. I think if T.I., he was doing all this, tough talk and talking about Charleston King, but I think Charleston King will put him in the ground too. And I think T.I. would hesitate. Because T.I. is looking at it. He's still a rich guy. T.I. is a rich guy. He's not a tough guy. He's a rich businessman. He still tries to come off tough to people. But in actuality, he's a businessman. Now, he can come talk tough to a regular guy, and a regular guy will end up showing him he's not tough. T.I. done had all these charges in the past. T.I. is clearly telling on people. Now, he might not be telling right now, but that's how he got out of that gun charge. Everybody knows it. And if he was smart, he'd stay off the internet, tell King to stay off the internet, stay still for a while, because he messing with the right one now. Charleston White has a big enough voice to keep bringing up this stuff that people don't know about. Like right now, my son's 20. The era that King is 18, that era that all those kids in, they don't remember that T.I. told. Well, they didn't say he told, but he had all these gun charges and didn't go to jail, was doing public service announcements and all that. They don't know that. That's a different era for them. They were babies because it's been so long. But now Charleston White is the one that's going to refresh all of that stuff. And now it's going to say, well, T.I.'s a snitch. Then it's going to be brought T.I.'s a snitch. And then you get somebody like Whack 100 get a hold of it, and he really going to run with it. And then it's going to be questioned. Did T.I. have something to do with the rapper and them going to jail? With the big RICO case that's going on in Atlanta? Young Thug, did he have something to do with that? We don't know. But we do have an idea that he does talk. He does talk to those people. So, man, I mean, they just need to sit still, be quiet, and leave it alone. But, yeah, that's really all I got to say about that, man. Please like, share, subscribe. Hit the notification bell when updates. You'll be the first to get it. Subscribe. Like. Share. And hit that notification bell. It's your boy, Carlito Monroe. Peace.